Hey everyone, welcome to the Tech Exchange class. We're going to start by looking at our agenda. And as you can see, there's a few things we need to take care of before we get to our first part of our class. I'd like you to take a few minutes to complete the intake form. Check the chat for the link if you did not complete it yet. I have previously sent you an email with that information. Please note that you must enter a San Jose address only. And that is because this is a program funded by the city of San Jose. So it's really important. One thing that I want to do before we start talking about Zoom is to go over the fact that this class is practice-based. So as I'm going over these details, please make sure to take a moment and try to practice these steps on your own as well. I will be asking you to send me an email after this class. So let me just go ahead and turn on my spotlight, my pointer. And as you can see, that red dot is going to serve to show you where I am referring to. Okay, so let's start with the new meeting. A new meeting button is what it sounds like. It will be what you would push if you wanted to create a meeting on your own and invite people. This image on the left side is the screen that you'll see on your phone if you've downloaded the Zoom app. And if you need help with that, feel free to reach out to me. The next button is the Join button. That is for an existing meeting that you have been invited to or that you've seen online and you want to join. Go ahead and click that button and you would enter the meeting ID number. Usually that's included in an invite. All right, so most of you get Zoom invites with a link. So when you click on the link directly in an invite, it'll open up the meeting for you. So you won't have to click the join button. This is just if you have the meeting ID and you want to use the number and enter it. Okay, so the next button says schedule, and that is going to display any meetings on your schedule. And these are 4 meetings that you've created so that you don't forget. And you should be sent a reminder, I believe, when you create them. I usually get a reminder because I add it to my Google account, and I also have set up some features that we can go over in the settings section. So we can definitely explore that further in our Tuesday meetings for tech support. Okay, so the next one is a button that you'll probably see if you create a meeting, and it's called the Share Screen button. So typically when you create a meeting, you have certain permissions that other people do not. Sharing your screen is one of them. You can also make other people a co-host or a host, for example, and pass on that permission to them. And we can practice that in class also, or at a Tuesday tech support meeting. This is a really fun feature. So it's really helpful. And as you can see, I'm sharing my screen so I can demonstrate what we are looking at. If you're anything like me, you learn by watching. Okay, so now we're going to start with the alphabet here, and each of these letters is pointing to an area that we'll get to know a little better. A is just your basic info. This is what your screen would look like if you started a meeting that you've created. So this is your blank screen when you don't have your video turned on. As you can see down there, the video has a red line through it, so that means it's not turned on. So this is before anyone joins, you'll see this info. So we have the meeting type, the host, which is of course you, a password if you've chosen to have a password, the invite link just in case you want to copy it really quick and send it to someone in a text or email so they may join, and the participant ID, which isn't really that important, but it's good for you to know just for your own information. So this is all helpful information at the beginning of a meeting. And I like to send out text reminders for people, and I also like to send out email reminders. So it's nice to give those last minute reminders for everyone. So I can just copy it really quick and get set up myself. Okay, so we do have the letter B, and there you have the audio. So it'll always ask you to connect with audio, and you can choose not to connect with audio if you just want to listen in, but it will prevent you from participating by asking questions or making comments or suggesting ideas for classes. So I encourage you to be as active as possible in the class because you'll get a lot more out of it. Okay, so this is section B. I see that we all know how to use our microphone, turning it on and off. That's great. We're going to move on to video. As you can see, it's turned off here. And I want you to know that I am very okay with everyone having their video off. As long as you're engaging in the class, if you feel that you want to have a more private setup, that's great. I want to make sure that you feel comfortable, and if you want to just have a picture or something like that, that's perfectly okay. So speaking of, C is security, and that is something that you have a lot of permissions for as the creator or host of a meeting. And I want to demonstrate how you can ensure that everyone feels comfortable in a Zoom meeting, and also so that you can organize and have a sense of control in a meeting. This is really helpful when you have a big meeting, say 50, 100, maybe even more people. So I'm going to take a moment to demonstrate some of these features that you can use to create a sense of fairness and also a sense of, respect for the presenters. So I'm going to just open up my screen and zoom in. This is the security button. And as you can see, there are various features, including removing participants. We don't often use that, but for example, if you have ever heard of Zoom bombing, there are instances where unwanted or uninvited people find their way into a Zoom meeting, and you've got to remove them. But we're going to focus more on the more commonly used features. And so I want to start with one that is very familiar. That's the chat. And the chat feature is something that if I click on it and turn it off, people won't be able to type into the chat. I can also turn off the ability to unmute yourself. And that's something that people do sometimes when there's a big meeting and people tend to speak over others. And if they notice that that's becoming a problem, they turn the unmute feature off and make it so that people have to, be more organized and wait their turn. This creates a sense of fairness in allowing everyone to voice their opinions or ask a question. And it is a helpful feature when you're working with larger groups of people. And also, it's something that helps people to focus when someone is giving a presentation in order to prevent anyone from interrupting them and possibly distracting them. That's something that you can do during a presentation. And so this is just a feature that helps everyone to keep it respectful and make sure that everyone gets their turn to speak. Okay, so there are other features here that I want to make sure are known to you. And so I'm going to go to my toolbar, and I want to show you the start video, and I can turn that on or off so that people can't turn on their video. And so some people find it distracting when everyone has a bunch of videos on and they're doing their own thing. So there's a lot of ways that you can create your own style of a meeting. So let's go over to E. We've already gotten familiar with participants in D, but if you want to go over that, feel free to ask any questions. E is chat. F is the share screen. So again, when you go back to the security button, you can turn on that feature for all participants. Normally I turn it on if someone asks me to share their screen, but I just don't keep it on all the time, just in case someone accidentally presses the button and then we have a little confusion. So it is on for me always as the creator of the meeting. And sometimes you can turn it on for the host or the co-host, just in case they have something that they share in order to keep the meeting going, or if they have any additional materials that they want to share with the group. It's a really helpful feature. And let's see, we have a few more that aren't as commonly used, but they're also really fun and they can help the group engage in a meeting. So I definitely encourage you to start your own meetings and just practice. Letter G is polls. So you're familiar with our surveys that we share with the community every once in a while. A poll is something that you can do on the spot during a Zoom meeting. So we can try that during our next class. H is record, and that's just what it sounds like. When you record, it'll automatically save it to the cloud or to your computer, and it'll automatically generate captions or a transcription. So if you like to learn by watching and reading, This is super helpful. It creates the notes for you. And the transcription's pretty good. Sometimes you might have to do a little bit of correction on spelling and stuff, but overall, it's a very great feature of Zoom. Closed captions. So closed captions are just what they sound like. If you like subtitles, you can click on that. J is breakout rooms, and that is something that we can also participate in next week. And I can create small groups among this group. So we have about 10 or 11 people in this group. And if I wanted to make groups of 3 or 4, we could do that. So we could all discuss ideas and practice things together as a group. Then we could come back together and discuss how it went. All right, so that is pretty much all of the features. And last but not least, it's K. You need to take off a little early. You know where to go. Click the end button if you are the host or the person who created the meeting. So again, on the right side where the black screen is, that is your computer or laptop or Chromebook view. And now we're going to go to the computer view of backgrounds. So at the top right, you're going to see options for backgrounds. And you can access that by clicking on your video section. There's a little upside down V, looks like a pointer. Click on that and you should see these options for creating a filter or a background. So again, it's the little dot next to the video icon, right where my red dot is. So go ahead and try that and see if you have any options. If you don't see any options, you might have to update your version of Zoom. But of course, you can always add videos or images that are saved on your computer. So here are the typical stock options that you'll see for backgrounds and filters. So you have San Francisco, you have some blades of grass, and you even have some video options that move behind you. So there's actually a lot of fun options already there for you. And you can also do this on your phone. Okay, so click on the More button, and you're going to choose Backgrounds and Filters. So again, the More button, Background and Filters. So I'm trying out all of these backgrounds. Press None to start over. Now we're going to go to Filters. As you can see, there's more options. I'm going to just try out a few so that you can see what they look like. And again, press None to clear it. So I hope this has been helpful. This is an example again. Click More. You're going to see the background and filters so you can choose from these options.